everyone. All right, so there was a really important piece of legislation here in California that was passed today. It's known as AB5 or Assembly Bill 5, and it relates directly with people like us who operate in the big gig economy. So we're independent contractors, and basically what this bill wants to do is reclassify people like us who are independent contractors or drivers for Uber and Lyft, so any of these ride-sharing companies. They want to reclassify these people as employees of Uber and Lyft and not have them operate as independent contractors. And this is really interesting because it would literally change the entire landscape of how these marketplaces operate. And it's interesting to think about if they could even exist in that type of business model, the more traditional business model. So basically today, what was official was that the bill has passed both the state assembly as well as the Senate. So now it's on the governor's desk for him to decide whether he's going to sign it or not. And the consensus is that this is something he's been pushing for a while, and that he likely will sign it, even though Uber and Lyft and these other ride-sharing companies have really partnered up to try to reach a negotiation, but it doesn't really seem like that's in sight. So what's interesting, and I actually have the article, and I'll link the article down in my description below, is the argument that must be made in order for them to be exempt from AB5. So this is actually an excerpt from Uber's legal team, and this is the argument that they have to present. Arguably, the highest bar is that a company must prove that contractors are doing work outside the usual course of its business, Uber's legal team said. Several previous rulings have found that drivers' work is outside the usual course of Uber's business, which is serving as a technology platform for several different types of digital marketplaces. And the reason why that argument is so important to us is because Turo is primarily also kind of the same thing. First and foremost, they're a technology company. They've created a digital marketplace platform where people can operate on, but they're actually classified as a tech company. So that's the argument, is that people like us as hosts or drivers, we operate outside the normal course of business because the normal course is technology. But I guess kind of the scary thing about all this is that although, Uber and Lyft, they had that argument, they're already putting measures into place in case they do have to abide by this new bill. They've already sent out notices to their drivers letting them know that if this passes, drivers are going to have to operate within shifts and they can only work a certain amount of hours. And there's going to be a lot more regulation and rules. And basically, essentially what this all boils down to is that you would no longer be able to make your own decision. Your decisions would be made for you, and that would be because you're an employee. So that's really, really interesting. And kind of the final piece of the article on CNBC, the last portion of it touched upon, what action or initiative Uber, Lyft, and they've partnered up with some other ride-sharing companies such as DoorDash and Postmates. One of the things that they're doing is they're proposing establishing a minimum wage. Here in California, it would be $21 for drivers, trying to see if that will help them by that negotiation with the governor. And they've also already pledged $90 million on a ballot initiative for the 2020 election. So I really like that part. That sounds really promising, and hopefully if it gets to that point, they can get this initiative on the ballot, and it looks like they really don't have any shortage of money, especially with all the companies banding together. And that also tells us how serious this is and how seriously they're taking this, and how much they're sure that if it goes into that direction of where their gig economy independent contractors have to turn into employees, it's going to be a big shift in the way that these business models work. So this $90 million initiative is really important, and it's really important for us because as a community, we have to really keep an eye out on this. You need to really be involved with the news and educate yourself about what's going on, so that if this does come down to a vote, you take that action and you do vote in the direction that you think is best, whether you support this or not. And speaking of whether you support this or not, I think that it's going to come down to it's going to kind of split in two ways, right? Some people are going to see it as a pro, some people are going to see it as a con. The people who I think will see this whole thing that California is trying to, this AB5 that California is trying to pass as a pro, are the people who don't operate as a business, right? They're independent contractors, but they don't really operate as a business, or they don't really have the knowledge base to do so, or are not looking to. Then the people who are going to see this as a con, such as myself, are the people who do operate as a business, who do understand the tax benefits, all the different types of tax write-offs and deductions you can have when you operate in this sort of style of a business. So you're really going to have the shift in two people. The people on the other side, they're going to think, oh great, like, you know I'm going to make X amount, I get benefits, I get sick days, and you basically get to operate as an employee and kind of take that as a job. So there is going to be a divide there. Now, some people will say that if this does pass, obviously cost of doing business is going to go way up for companies like Uber, Lyft, and Turo, because they're going to have to provide all these additional things when it comes to operating a group of employees, right? So benefits and sick days and a minimum wage. And some people out there think that this is going to trickle all the way down to one of the end users, which would be either the renters or the people who are taking rides with Uber and Lyft. But in the end, I think ultimately price is determined by supply and demand. So maybe we might see a little bit of shift in price initially, but at the end of the day, the price is going to be determined by what the supply and the demand is out there. But really where the hit is going to take place would be with people like us who are hosts or drivers, because that is where our margins are going to shrink, because that cost has to get passed along to somebody, and that would be us. So that revenue split that you have will likely go down. So basically, I just wanted to put this out there because this is really important, and they also speculate that if California pushes this through, it will work its way over into other states. So really keep an eye out for this legislation. Keep your ears on the news and pay attention to what's going on out there, and educate yourself and learn about this, because if it does come down to election time and this is on a ballot, it would be really important for everyone in the community to go out and vote and, put your opinion into play. So hope this was helpful. I just wanted to bring you guys this piece of information because I think it is so important. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are and whether you are for or against legislation AB5, and let me know what rideshare and gig economy you're a part of, or any gig economy really. I would love to hear feedback from you guys, and hope this was helpful. I'll post a link to the article down below. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.